As we all know, identifying ways to enhance energy security is a priority for many countries today, in the European Union, in the southeastern part of Europe as well. Governments are actively seeking ways to diversify the routes, but also the sources of their energy. The Caspian corridor represents a way to diversify both routes and sources, and as such, it is a very important piece of infrastructure. With respect to sources, the corridor has the potential to deliver gas from Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, to other countries in the region, as well as to the European Union and Southeastern Europe. However, discoveries in both the Caspian region and the Eastern Mediterranean mean that the corridor has the potential to transport gas from other fields also. Should conditions allow it in the future, the corridor could include gas from northern Iraq, offshore fields in the Eastern Mediterranean, and perhaps one day, who knows, also Iran. The corridor has the capability to promote important regional energy integration for the producing, transit, and consuming countries through which it passes. I have to say, if one of these participants fail, I think we all fail. So it's important that producing, transiting, and consuming countries very much work together in order to find equitable and workable solutions. If these countries truly embrace cross-border energy integration and cooperation, we will see the greater development of efficient liquid energy markets, the presence of multiple competitors, more transparent market rules, and in turn, market-driven, competitive, affordable, fair prices for hydrocarbons. And it is, I think, what all of us are striving for. In addition to being economically viable and without reliance on implicit or explicit subsidies, the complexity of a project such as the Caspian Corridor should not be underestimated. The development and construction of large international infrastructure projects require in-depth political, economic, legal, technical, environmental, and social due diligence. Without this, the necessary financing can be very difficult to secure. So I think there is no space for any shortcuts. Everything must be done in the right way, because we are always being looked upon by the whole of the international community. To a great extent, these issues can be addressed by embracing best practice. For example, complying with international recognized due diligence standards for evaluating environmental and social risks, such as the rules set by the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the International Finance Corporations, export credit agencies, etc., securing intergovernmental and host governmental agreements, and engaging in engineering, procurement, and construction contractors with long and successful track record. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has developed a very strong in-depth experience in the structuring of large pipeline projects, making us well-placed to understand where issues can arise and how they can be mitigated. And actually, project finance is nothing more than an exercise in risk mitigation. In the Caucasus region, and I was very pleased that Lord Brown was referring to that, we were a leading party in the South Caucasus pipeline that today transports gas from the Shah Deniz field through Georgia to Turkey, and also we played a key role in the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, an oil pipeline which also cuts through Georgia and Turkey. With respect to the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan project, we cooperated with the BP and SOCAR and many other institutions to develop a $30 million community investment program, during which provided much needed support to local players such as community centers, health clinics, and water treatment facilities, with the main purpose being to complement local community effort. And it's not surprising that Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan has been a success from many viewpoints. There should be no fear to engage stakeholders through an open and transparent information and disclosure mechanism. Indeed, from a banking perspective, engaging proactively with all shareholders is a precondition to a successful and sustainable project. A few weeks ago, I and many of the others that are here today had the honor to participate in the inaugural meeting of the Advisory Council for the Southern Corridor, which took place in Baku. The bank welcomes this first meeting of the Council as a way to foster cooperation among various participants in the Caspian corridor. Participants such as producing, transit, and consuming countries, the European Union, the United States of America, and multilateral financial institutions. And I think we should be open to have many more on board. The joint statement that was signed at the end of the Council reiterates the commitment by all parties to support the development of such an important piece of infrastructure. In conclusion, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development fully supports the Caspian Corridor as a way to enhance cooperation in the field of energy security and further develop energy markets. And I think the real objective is to develop fair, equitable, affordable, competitive energy markets. We look forward to seeing the corridor progress in a way that ensures security of supply as well as fair revenues for producing and transit countries. Thank you very much for being here today, and we look forward to a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be invited to speak again at this very important conference, and delighted to have been there last year at the Stock Exchange. And it's fantastic that this year it should be partnering with the EBRD, which does such incredibly important work across this whole region. A particular thanks to the International Bank of Azerbaijan, and Chairman, thank you to you for your very kind words, but also particularly to Lindsay for being the driving force behind so much of today's event and for really making it happen. My role as the Prime Minister's trade envoy is to try and give a degree of political connectivity between some of the fast emerging markets. There are about 13 trade envoys in total around the world, and that we're working not with the countries where you get a regular throughput of ministers, but those where we rarely see government ministers coming through. Now, I'm keen to see much more of that political activity, but in the meantime, I've been pleased over the last 2 years to make 15 visits to the region, often with a trade delegation, and to support the outstanding work which our ambassadors and their teams do on the ground to support British businesses and British cooperation. These cooperations start with energy, but the intention now is to broaden them to a much wider area of activity between our countries. And as we see those opportunities emerging, we're very focused here in the United Kingdom that we need to be much more assertive in looking for them, in identifying them, and in helping British companies to take advantage of them. In countries like Azerbaijan, we have seen the most extraordinary progress in the last 20 years. In Kazakhstan, in Turkmenistan as well. Turkmenistan with the 4th largest gas reserves in the world, and you sense we're just beginning to see some of the potential of that extraordinary country coming through. And I think if we look at some of the lessons from that, from particularly Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, it shows the importance of that international cooperation, because it's been the partnership with companies like BP in Azerbaijan, with Shell and BG in Kazakhstan, that has really been able to drive forward the ambition to realize the assets which these countries have been blessed with. It's brought an enormous amount of international investment. It's brought an enormous amount of international skill and expertise, and a real commitment to safety and to environmental protection. And that they will also work with the governments in these countries to realize their own ambitions, because we never forget that these are your assets and that the companies are there as your guests in your country. And therefore, as you look to upskill your own populations, as you look to make sure there's an appropriate skills transfer so that the next generation of young Azerbaijanis or Kazakhstanis can take the most powerful positions in those businesses, then they will work with you to help to realize that. And through that investment, it's made it possible, I believe, to realize those resources faster and more effectively than could otherwise have been the case. So it has been a genuine partnership which has brought benefits to both sides. But we do need new routes to bring those products to market. As we look at issues of energy security, and for me as a minister, going back to the first 2.5 years of this government, that much of the focus was on not just UK energy security, but European energy security. And that means, to me, two things. It means we have to have new routes for bringing Russian gas into the European market. But we also have to have new sources of gas to come into the European market. One of those solutions on their own is not enough. We need to have both of them. And therefore it becomes a political imperative for the European governments to work to support the ambitions which have been put in place to bring Azerbaijani gas to the European market. I think those pipelines also show the extraordinary ambition of the governments. A project like TAP, 48 billion, including all of the aspects which go with it, an 870-kilometre pipeline going on top of the 1,800-kilometre TANAP pipeline, something which is a world-class ambition, and something which I think those of us who have seen the way in which the government works and their partner companies have no doubt that it will be achieved, and making it possible, therefore, for the resources of Shah Deniz 2 to be brought into the European market. But it is absolutely critical, as we were hearing just now from Ricardo, that the governments of Europe comprehensively support this programme, that if there are challenges to it, if there are obstacles to it, then the full force of those governments is required to try and help to bring it forward and to achieve popular and democratic consent for it in those different countries. Because it is a programme of immense ambition, but of immense importance, and we cannot allow it to be put off course. And I think that's especially true at a time of lower oil and gas prices, and where the financing of some of these projects becomes that much more challenging and puts extra pressure on those who are trying to be involved in these projects. And from the position of the British government, and regardless of which government happens to be in post in 8 weeks' time, I can give you an absolute assurance of that continuing support. And in time as well, I hope we will see Turkmen gas coming through into the European market through a Trans-Caspian pipeline. Maybe gas from Turkmenistan itself, but at least gas from its assets in the Caspian Sea, and to enrich the opportunities there for really ensuring that the southern European countries have access to a regular and predictable flow of gas and to harness them where they are most available. Be in no doubt that in Turkmenistan they are looking at the other options. Do they go to China, where so much of their gas already goes? Will they go south and through Afghanistan and Pakistan and India? So we have to make the most compelling case as to why they should be coming westwards, if that is what we think is the right thing to do, which I most certainly believe it is. We're also seeing now that these countries are recognising their strategic importance. Young countries, as Lord Brown was saying, countries with a great history, but they feel today like young, ambitious countries. And what we're seeing often is a programme of reform being set out, which will make them more attractive still to investors. We were thrilled a couple of weeks ago to have the first visit by the Prime Minister Masimov of Kazakhstan, that Gary was referring to a little while ago. And he set out their programme for reform. And he started off by saying the first thing is rule of law. He was here to speak at the Global Law Summit about the importance of the rule of law and the fact that Kazakhstan will be adopting UK commercial law. He talked about civil service reform to ensure that decisions are made in an open and clear and non-bureaucratic and non-corrupt way. He talked about broadening the economic base, and so seeing a real emergence of a middle class of SMEs, of a very diverse economy, to move it away significantly from too much of a concentration on hydrocarbons. And he talked about democratic progress, which comes with those other those other elements. And those make up a very attractive set of messages for investors. And I think our job in the British government is to work with him and with governments in other countries to help them realise those sort of plans and those ambitions. I think there's also an increasing recognition that these countries hold a unique position between Europe and Russia and China, and how they capitalise on that position, that geographical advantage, is something which I think is an issue of great excitement to many investors. It's not just the strategic links. We're hearing this morning about those in gas and oil. There'll be in IT as well, and in the physical highways, the train connections and others. We'll see it in the regional financial service centres, such as Almaty's ambition to be a regional centre for financial services, and the visit by the Lord Mayor of London in just a couple of months' time, 3 months' time, will really help to drive that forward with Azerbaijan and to show the enthusiasm of businesses in this city for working in partnership for those in Baku and wider Azerbaijan. There's a commitment to create that broader economic base and to increase their proportion of exports, which come from the non-oil and gas sector. If we look at it the way in which it is at the moment, the overwhelming majority of Azerbaijan's exports, over 90% probably, are from hydrocarbons. And it's how do we boost up the other exports and to countries further afield than Russia as well as neighbours? How do we make sure that we develop those opportunities for Azerbaijani businesses as they move forward? And that means that British companies should be working with partners in Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and elsewhere, and also in third countries. And I'd stress here the importance of Turkey. The relationship which already exists between Turkey and many of these countries is historic, it's linguistic, it's one of very close associations over a very long period of time. And for British companies to work with Turkish companies as they move into these markets provides a very important aspect and a way in. And I hope too that we can develop this in due course with Iran. If, as we hope, that the situation in Iran improves and we can see a move away from sanctions, then there is a natural case for companies doing this through Baku. There are perhaps 20 million Azerbaijanis living in Iran, including their supreme leader himself. That they are a very significant part of the Iranian population. There is an understanding of Iran there which we simply in the United Kingdom don't have. And therefore to see where we can partner with the financial institutions and the industrial groups and others in Azerbaijan to move into that market if it becomes possible is something which I think presents a tremendous opportunity. My time as a trade envoy is coming to an end. I'm not seeking re-election at the election here on the 7th of May. So I hope you'll allow me to make a few reflections on the last couple of years in that role. These are the most remarkable countries. Many of you have been there, many of you will not have been there, and I do urge you to go there and see for yourself the extraordinary opportunities which are there. The people are charming. They are countries of great comfort. I stay in some of the best hotels I've ever stayed in the world, at a fraction of the price I've stayed anywhere else in the world, with great restaurants, great service, and incredibly friendly, charming people. You've got good airlines and regular routes in order to get you there. And they're countries which are making it very clear that they're open to business, and that they're particularly open to business for the United Kingdom. The message which I hear so often is, why don't we see more British companies here? Why don't we see as many British companies as there are French or German or Italian companies? And our job really now, with Irfan in Baku as our ambassador and his team, is to really ratchet up the number of British companies which are going there, and to work with the new generation too of young Azerbaijanis coming through, who are very westernized and very, in many ways, anglicized. At some of the best universities in the region, they're taught in English. Last week I was at the ADA University in Baku, my previous visit at the Baku Higher Oil School, both where they're taught entirely in English. Similarly, at the Kazakh British Technical University in Almaty or Nazarbayev University in Astana, the teaching is all done in English. And so we have people there who are waiting to be our partners, and it's up to us to take advantage of those opportunities. There is a word of warning. These are countries with ambition, and they're countries in a hurry. They would like to work with us, but if we are too slow, then they're not going to wait. And so to realize those opportunities, I do urge you to build those links, to get on the planes, to see those opportunities for yourself and make this partnership truly happen. Thank you very much indeed.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, Ambassadors, dear ladies, gentlemen, good morning. I would like to start by thanking our hosts. I am very sorry. First of all, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development our International Bank of Azerbaijan, Asia House, for organizing this very important conference. And first of all, I would like again to say that it is great honor and pleasure for me to be here with us. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this conference. My second appreciations are to previous speakers, and I would like to say that I am fully agree with their visions about the Caspian region. I am fully agree with their visions and their thoughts that Caspian region now it is a very important region. And this is important region not only because last 20 years we see very fast growth of economy in that region. Excuse me, can you please be first? Okay. Because we see very fast growth, economic growth in Caspian region. And not only because, like my colleagues said before, previous speakers, that it is, and it has very geographically, it has, very important position, like a bridge between the east, west, and north and south. Azerbaijan especially is situated at the center of this bridge, because on the north is Russia, on the south Iran, and on the east it is the great region of the Central Asia, and on the west we have Europe. And like you see, I would like to give very brief information about the Caspian region geoeconomic outlook. And if you see, we planned that it will be very nice picture of the growth economic and in the region. The population, it is about 80 million people. We're planning that GDP growth each year in region will be in average 3.8% per year up to 2035. And when we speak about the energy resources, I would like to say that proved the resource of crude oil, it is 3.5 on the share of the global energy crude oil resources. It's about now there is some different figures, but the last figures is shows us that we have in Caspian Sea about 48 billion barrels of crude oil. And the recoverable resources is about 4% in share in balance of global world recoverable resources. But I would like to say that, that production of oil, history of production of oils, it's more than 150 years, especially in Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, maybe they are younger. But to this date, only, only 3% of all the recoverable resources are now produced. And we have very great potential, and the previous speakers said about it. And I would like to say that nowadays the Caspian region is very big, significant potential, and we can to compare the Caspian region with the Persian Gulf and our world oil centers and gas centers. If you just, please, a second. Natural gas resources. I give you this very brief information for just your attention that you know the gas resource in the Caspian Sea and share of world, it is, 7.2% of proven resources of the world. And I think that it's, when we speak about the gas resources or oil resources, we have to take in consideration that in Caspian region, consumption is not so big if we compare it with the consumption in the world per capita in average. That is why I would like to say, like my colleagues before said, the potential of export from Caspian Sea is tremendous. In our please. This is a production, and you see the total production. It is growing. In 2035, we are waiting and planning that in Caspian region will be produced 315 BCM. It shows, like I said before, it is very big potential, and maybe I said about it later. That is why we now implement very important, not only for region, especially for Azerbaijan, but for all the Europe, Caspian gas corridor. This is this name Southern Gas Corridor. Please, in our one. This is potential gas production in Azerbaijan, and if you see, we have now 4 or 5 sources to increase our production. The first one, everybody knows about the Shahdanis Stage 2. In coming years, it mainly associated with this development, fulfill development of Shahdanis. But we have another very proved, resources and real production which will be increased in our fields. You know that in recent years, Azerbaijan discovered new 2 very big gas condensate fields, and it was discovered by SOCAR, state-owned company of Azerbaijan. It's named UMIT. What is it, UMIT in Azeri? In English, UMIT? Hope. Yeah, thanks. Hope, and its recoverable gas reserves is 350 billion cubic meters. Another one was discovered by Total, and the proved recoverable reserves are about 400 billion cubic meters. And I would like to say that in UMIT structure, we have produced the gas already. Since 2 years ago, we start produce from this gas field, and in Absheron field, Total promised us that they start the first gas production in 2020. And in a couple of years, they increased the production from the Absheron up to 5 BCM. The next. Now, I would like, everybody now speaking about the Southern Gas Corridor, and I would like to say that it is the biggest energy project, not only for financial point of view, because this Southern Gas Corridor cost of this project is 45 billion US dollars. It is not because it is started from Azerbaijan, from Shardanis, it goes to the coast of Italy, and distance is 3,800 kilometers, very long distance, as you see. It is not only because it is very technically complicated project, and I say about it later, but it is the only one real project which linked now Azerbaijan with Europe by this very long gas southern corridor. If we, when we implemented Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan or Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum or ours, it is like, I think that it is local project because we linked it Caspian Sea with Black Sea, Caspian Sea with Mediterranean, but now it is the new project which linked the Caspian Sea through this region, all the biggest region, with the Adriatic Sea to Italy. I would like to say that now for Southern Gas Corridor we have all the necessary intergovernmental agreements, all the memorandum of understanding with the states, with European Union, with European Commission, and ours who involved in this project. And as you know, in 2011, the President of EU visited to Azerbaijan, and in January it was signed very significant memorandum of understanding between the President of European Commission, Mr. Barroso, and His Excellency Mr. President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. And it was about the establishing Southern Gas Corridor, about the support this project, about the implementation, and it was real start, for this project. On this base, we established and create our bilateral relations with all the, like I said, with our neighboring countries, first of all with Georgia, Turkey, and it gives us opportunity to sign very, very important intergovernmental agreement between Turkey and Azerbaijan on the Trans-Anatolian gas pipeline, about the sale of Azeri gas and transited through the territory of Turkey. I would like another mention another intergovernmental agreement which gives us very big encourages to go ahead with this gas southern corridor. It was intergovernmental agreement between the Italian Republic, Hellenic Republic, and the Republic of Albania concerning the Trans-Adriatic gas pipeline system. And it was executed on the 13th February 2013, and it gives us the base very strong base to select TAP as the main pipeline which deliver Azeri gas to Europe. I would like to say that in a lot of political events and agreements was signed in Azerbaijan, but I cannot mention all of them, but I would like to say that 17th of December 2017, it was very great decision which was taken by consortium of Shah Deniz about the final investment decision, first of all, and it was the ceremony of signing the 16 BCM sale purchase agreements. And 9 companies from Europe, they participate in this contract, and that is why it was decided that 16 BCM, which will be produced on the stage 2, on the Shah Deniz gas field, it will be divided for 2 portions. 6 BCM will be delivered to Turkey, and 10 BCM will be available for Europe. Again, I would like to mention that not only the countries who are along the way of the Southern Gas Corridor, but another countries on the Balkan Peninsula, they are very interesting in this Gas Southern Corridor. Maybe I take about it, but it was memorandum of understanding between the Albania, Bosnia Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, relating to their support for the cooperation in the realization of the Trans-Adriatic and the Ionian Adriatic pipelines, and it was concluded, this agreement concluded in Tirana in 2013, and it gives us, again, the privilege and opportunity to see Southern Gas Corridor much wider than we can imagine before. Because now we just would like to say that we signed the agreement in Azerbaijan in 2014 when the President of Bulgaria came to Azerbaijan, visited Azerbaijan, and we signed a very important document between Azerbaijan and Bulgaria about the not only delivering the 1 BCM to Bulgaria, but about the very wide cooperation in the developing the gas network system in Bulgaria, about the investments of Azerbaijan to upgrade the gas storages, about our participants in the some economics projects, including the chemical plant in Bulgaria, and so on and so on, and for the future gasification of Bulgaria. The same was in Albania when we visited Albania and signed the gas master plan for Albania, because in Albania now there is no gasification at all. That is why Azerbaijan will participate in Albania in the gasification of this country. And I would like, maybe can you Caucasus pipeline shareholders? Because before I would like to say that Southern gas corridors consist from 4 elements. It is upstream and midstream projects. Upstream, it is the Shah Deniz project, And before later, I would like to say a little bit more about this project. But the second one, it is the Southern Gas Corridor. It is existing. It's, you know, it is working. It is Baku, Tbilisi, Erzurum pipeline. It's delivered now to Turkey 6.6 BCM of natural gas. But for the fulfilled development of the Shah Deniz, it is not enough. That is why it will be new project expanding and increasing the capacity of the Southern Gas Corridor, and where we our shareholders. Next, please. This is just very approximate capital costs needed for implementing Southern Gas Corridor, and like you see, the biggest one, it is the upstream. This is Shah Deniz Stage 2, 25.4 billion US dollars. Now we evaluated it's in this sum. You know, about South Caucasus gas pipeline is 5 billion. Mostly it will be invested in Georgia. You know, Trans-Anatolian gas pipeline now, our calculations is about 11 billion, and the Trans-Adriatic maybe 5 billion. But totally it will be, I think, that it will be from 45 up to 50 billion US dollars. And next one, please. Shah Deniz, this is very, like I said, very complicated project, and the operator is BP. It will be like you see on Shah Deniz 2. We need to construct a lot of new engineering projects. First of all, you know, it is Shah Deniz Stage 2. It is the main core of the Southern Gas Corridor project, because if we not produce this natural gas from Shah Deniz, there is no sense to construct all the pipelines, you know. And like you see, we will construct 2 new bridge-linked platforms. This is technically, it's very complicated. I don't want to speak more about it. But in the bottom of the sea, we will drill 26 subsea wells, and these subsea wells, after drilling, and I would like to say that 8 of them already drilled, and they are ready for production. But we are waiting for construction with platforms, and after that, and up to 2020, all of them will be drilled and come, and the gas will be delivered on these platforms. In this area will be constructed 500 kilometers of subsea pipelines. And in this project, the new gas terminal will be constructed in Sangachal, because it can to be expand, you know. I'm sorry, expand and increase this capacity. I don't know. Maybe I bore you with these figures. I don't know if it's like this. You just tell me. But I would like to give you all the information about the current situation in Azerbaijan, what we are doing there, how it is important not for only Azerbaijan, but I really believe that it is, very important for the Caspian region, because it is the base, strong base for the delivering the energy resources from east to west for Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. I don't know, maybe in our, in the Caspian Sea, they will be discovered by Russian, new oil or gas fields and so on. And there is no way, if they would like to deliver these resources to the West, to Europe, there is no way. It is just only this corridor. We create this corridor since 1994. It was first, the oil corridor, after gas corridor. Now we are speaking about electricity corridor, and this is open for all producers, shippers, traders, and I think that in future it will be, like my colleagues said here, it will be a lot of partners who join to this gas corridor, not only in the Caspian region, but, like I said, in future, Iran, northern Iraq, Israel, Kipr, by the Pan-Arabian gas pipeline, from Egypt, Algeria, and so on. But we don't know what will be in future. That is why I think that it is very important for all of us. And I would like to say again that it is great importance because this gas southern corridor create a lot of jobs. This is very attractive for countries who, who are situated along the way of the southern corridor. Just imagine that it is 30,000 new jobs will be created on the period of construction of the southern gas corridor with these pipelines. Again, I don't speak about new technologies. And the next one, please. Okay, this is Shahdane's shareholders. You can see that this is the main. It is BP, TPO with some changes now. It's 19% after SOCAR and our partners. Next, please. This is TANAP, Trans-Anatolian Gas Pipeline, which was initiated again by Azerbaijan. You know very well the history of Nabucco, when we hopes that Nabucco project will be, implemented, and it's come up to border of Azerbaijan for Turkey, and we just linked our network system with Nabucco, no investments from Azerbaijan and so on. But it will be very, very good for us. But Nabucco was not happened, and we delay. Now we can to say it, but we delay with Shahdanis stage 2. Maybe, I don't know. It's when it was discovered and when we've produced the first gas in 2006 and start to export this gas, we're planning in those time that BP said that it will be the full-field development of Shahdanis will be in 2013, and we, long away we discussed with them and so on, but it's too late, and so on, and we agreed that it will be no later than 2012, But now you see the first gas from Shahdanis stage 2, it will be in 2019, very well, and 6 BCM will be in 2019, will be delivered to Turkey, and in 2020, additional 10 BCM will be delivered to Europe. But how we were late with this project? Why? Because we are waiting, and our partners waiting for market, and there is no market because there was no transportation system. And we wait Nabucco, and after that, Azerbaijan have a decision, and our president was initiated this issue, President Aliyev, and he said, okay, if we cannot wait anymore, we have to construct our own pipeline. What? We have to prolongate our network system up to border of Europe. And this was idea about the construction trans-Anatolian gas pipeline, which starts from the Georgian-Turkey border and goes to Turkey-Greece borders. And the length of this pipeline is 1,800 kilometers. Like I said, it's very complicated, not so easy to construct it, because, I said about the length, but there is 4,400 crossings of watercourses, roads, railways, pipelines, and so the obstacles, on the way of the construction of this pipeline. TANAP passing through 20 provinces, 67 districts, and nearly 600 villages from east to west. And I would like to say that before, maybe, that again in Southern Gas Corridor, Shagdani Stage 2 and Southern Caucasus Pipeline, with 20% of the all volume of works they already done. We are going with the schedule. We are going with this according to our program. There is no, I think so, there is no very big problems, risks, and so on. That is why, on Shagdeni's too, about 10 billion US dollars contracts awarded already. On TANAP, it is about 3.5 billion US dollars awarded contracts to buy the pipelines, for compressor stations, and so on and so on. In our TAP, please, in our one, it is TANAP's shareholders. It's 58% it's SOCAR's share, and Botash increased just recently their share up to 30, and BP has 12%. Next. Again, there is just a picture about, I said about some figures, but next one, please. With this Trans-Adriatic pipeline, it's previous, our speaker said that it is about 900 kilometers. It has onshore part, offshore part, and we think that Trans-Adriatic pipeline will start to work in 2020. What is for TAP? It's very interesting that it's going through territory of Greece and Albania, and after cross the Adriatic Sea to Italy. But it gives us new opportunities to diversify our delivers by the interconnections with other countries. It is, first of all, now it is the project, it is priority now for EU, and I just met with Vice President of the European Union Commission Mr. Shevchevich, and he again reaffirmed that IGB, which is interconnection between Greece and Bulgaria, it is priority now for European Commission, and it gives opportunity to deliver gas through Greece, by territory of Greece to Bulgaria. And when we were in Bulgaria, Mr. Prime Minister of Bulgaria, Boyko Borisov, he said that we now are very encouraged to finish very interconnection with Romania, after with Hungary, and so on. That is why, you know, it gives us new opportunities. Why I'm saying, because when we speak about the Southern Gas Corridor, it is not only 16 BCM, which are reality now, because it's Azeri gas, but we have a lot of new opportunities. And like I said, the UMIT structure in Azerbaijan will join to this gas corridor. Total, with where they are operator in offshore fields. We have now new contracts with BP about the deeper gas in Azeri, Chirag, Yunashli. We contract last year, new contract about the offshore peninsula shallow waters contract with BP about the developing this structure and so on. Because if we were very successful in the Southern Gas Corridor only implementation, it gives us new opportunities for investment on the upstream, on the investigations, on the exploration, and so on. That is why it is very important when we speak about the diversification. This is the main route, but we have the branches of the route in our countries, and including through Albania to connected with the Ionian Adriatic pipeline through Bosnia, Herzegovina, Montenegro, and so on. Again, next, please. This is top shareholders, you know very well, and SOCAR's, BP, and Statoil have the 20% share, and Fluxys, Enagas, and Axpo, they are our partners in Trans-Adriatic. Please, another? This is this IGB project, which from, Comitini to Stara Zagora. This is in Bulgaria. I think that we are planning that in 2019, but maybe earlier, it will be finished, and we will have the opportunity to deliver first gas to Bulgaria in volumes of 1 BCM as soon as possible. Next, please. Okay? Thank you so much. But I would like to say, I give you these pictures. And will be very happy if I give you right information about the current situation in implementing of the Southern Gas Corridor. Just recently, 12th February of this year, we had first advisory council, and my colleague from EBRD said about it. It was very important meeting. We gathered in Baku all the ministers of energy ministers, all the countries along way the Southern Gas Corridor. It was this advisory council was attended by the Mr. Shevchevich, Vice President of European Commission. We are very happy that it was attended by EBRD, IFC, European Investment Bank, and we're speaking about not only situation, but what obstacles and problems and challenges we have. That is why, sorry, thank you so much. I'm very happy to see all of you. Thank you.